Hi, I'm your host Joe Fagan, and welcome to this edition of Discover West Orange. This monthly program, sponsored by the Downtown West Orange Alliance, is dedicated to raising awareness and preserving our rich local history. West Orange is a town full of several historic firsts and many forgotten treasures just waiting to be discovered, many of which I have been writing about in the West Orange Chronicle for the last 5 years. This TV show, Discover West Orange, is just a natural extension of these previous written works in a column that shares the same name. I am the fourth generation of the Fagan family to have grown up in West Orange, and learning about the town's history has been something I have been doing all my life. A brief segment of today's program will explain how I first became introduced to West Orange history at the exact location where it happened. Although this inspired me at a very young age, it also motivated me as an adult to write 2 books about West Orange history. I'm pleased to announce the 3rd book is scheduled for release in May of 2014, and a 4th book is under contract for 2016. In 2012, the mayor and town council bestowed upon me the honorary title of official West Orange historian. I am honored and flattered with this title, but the greatest resource of West Orange has always been all its people and our collective personal histories. Each individual has a story to share, which makes us all historians in a certain sense. Everyone has something to add, and we all can learn a great deal from each other. Therefore, history should not be considered the exclusive property of historians, but instead it belongs to all those who are aware of it. On today's show, we will explore some very recognizable town landmarks that have blended so well into the familiar roads of home that their history has been overlooked or perhaps even forgotten. Stay tuned and join me today as we journey along some historic sites on Main Street and discover West Orange. On today's show, we're going to step outside the studio and explore the many sites along Main Street in downtown West Orange. There's so much to see and so much to discover right here in historic West Orange. So join me on today's show as we discover West Orange. We're at the bottom of Northfield Avenue here, West Orange Town Center at the corner of Main Street. This area here has some special significance, not only for West Orange history, but some of my own personal history. Behind me here is the first bank in West Orange. It was founded in 1909. It was the first national bank of West Orange and helped give West Orange its own identity and helped contribute to the commerce of West Orange at the time. However, let me show you some of my own personal history over here. In 1965, at this very location, it was a bright sunny day, just like it is today. I was running routine errands with my grandfather. He led me by the hand up these very steps. And inside the bank, we were greeted by 3 wall murals. They're still there today. Here we are in the lobby of the bank. It was at this exact location in 1965 when I came in with my grandpa. I asked him, what kind of train is that? I wish I could have remembered what he told me, but I was too young. But it was on that day, at that time, with this wall mural, that began my interest in West Orange history. Thanks so much, Grandpa. Passing motorists might not realize the significance of this location here on Northfield Avenue. From 1905 to 1937, this was the original West Orange Town Hall. It was known as the Lindsay Wheeler Building, and it was torn down when the new town hall opened in 1938. But on July 6, 1931, at this exact location, West Orange Town Hall, the famous singer Rudy Valley married the actress Faye Webb. But now I'm going to take you over to the current day West Orange Town Hall. We're at current-day West Orange Town Hall, and it opened in 1938. It replaced the aging Lindsay Wheeler estate on Northfield Avenue. But the most interesting aspect about West Orange Town Hall is both obvious and overlooked, and it lies right over here in the corner. This is the cornerstone of the date it was laid, 1936. But what you might be noticing is that the name West Orange has been omitted from the cornerstone. As early as 1926, some consideration was given to changing the name of West Orange to give it a separate identity from that of Orange. Some of the names under consideration were Crestmont, Fairmont, Oratone after the famous Indian chief who lived in this area. And it was again reconsidered in 1931 following the death of Thomas Edison. In fact, they were even thinking of naming the town Edisona. Once it was decided to keep the name of West Orange, the name was proudly engraved on top of West Orange Town Hall to proudly proclaim that this is West Orange and has been ever since 1863. We're on our way to the location of the West Orange train station that once existed on Main Street. But before we get there, we're here at the former location of the Erie Freight Yard. Imagine this area with no buildings, a coal yard and stock yards. On May 4th, 1913, the Erie Freight Yard turned into the Erie Freight Yard. A curious trio of three young boys, intending no harm, opened the door to a boxcar on the siding. They got the surprise of their life. Emerging from the freight car was a lion on the loose in downtown West Orange. The police were summoned. They got here on the scene and they actually tried to shoot the lion. Either they were bad shots or the lion was out of range. Also at the freight yard was the West Orange stockyards. They summoned the cowboy over. The cowboy lassoed the lion, and as he's reeling it in, the police are reloading their guns, ready to take another shot, when emerging from the crowd was the actress Lala Selbini. She was a vaudeville actress playing not far from here at a theater in Orange. Word had come to her that a lion was on the loose in West Orange. This was her line, and it was part of the show. She quickly undid the lasso and said, "Pete, what have they done to you?" She then took the lion, walked him back into the freight car just like it was her pet dog, and the whole ordeal was over. Beauty had saved the beast from an uncertain fate here in downtown West Orange. Many West Orange residents have passed this location countless times and perhaps wondered why this big empty parking lot is in the middle of downtown West Orange. It's hard to believe, but this was once the location of the second train station in West Orange on the Erie Railroad. The station on Park Avenue was known as Llewellyn Station, and the second West Orange station here was simply known as West Orange. By 1965, both buildings were abandoned ruins and eventually torn down. By 1888, there was direct service from West Orange to New York via a ferry from Jersey City. However, the last passenger train left West Orange in May of 1955. I can remember in the 1960s as a young boy seeing trains in operation at the Erie Freight Yard where we were before. Operations continued on the line to about 1980, and by 1982, all the rails were ripped up. Virtually no evidence of the two train stations in West Orange remain today. The Erie Railroad played a vital role in the development of West Orange. The once majestic sound of the steam engine chugging to a slow turn here in West Orange has long gone silent. We'll never know the thrill of riding the rails in a bygone era, but it's nice to think that our grandparents once did. Many West Orange residents may have come for a hamburger here at the Americana Diner and not realize the importance and perhaps not realize the historic significance of the lot in which they parked their car. In the 1870s, Christopher Musler was one of the best-known blacksmiths in the Oranges. He had a reputation as one of the finest carriage builders. His original shop was located where the Thomas Edison National Historic Site is today. In 1905, his business had grown such that he purchased this lot to build his new blacksmith shop and relocate his business. One of the most unique features about Musler's blacksmith shop was the access to the second floor. You could actually drive a horse and wagon up to the second floor off a Nanny Goat Hill behind me, which today is known as Prospect Place. Parking meters in cars have now replaced the hitching posts and horses that once lined Main Street near Musler's blacksmith shop. The clanging of the animal has long gone silent, but much of West Orange early history was forged here by the swinging rhythm of a hammer's blow on Main Street in downtown West Orange. The surrounding area around Washington Street and Main Street is known as Tory Corner today. This area was originally known as Williamsville, named after the Williams family, who were one of the first settlers in the area. This monument at Tory Corner briefly explains the history of this location. It also mentions Benjamin Williams. He was one of the Williams brothers who was loyal to the British Crown during the American Revolution. In later years, he was known as Governor Ben Williams, not because he was an elected official, but because of his prominence in the community. On a future show, I will discuss how I have Benjamin Williams' antique colonial clock that I rescued from a flea market in Illinois. So stay tuned to Discover West Orange to learn more about the Williams family clock.
Hi, I'm Megan Brill, Executive Director with the Downtown West Orange Alliance. We're very excited to be sponsoring Joe Fagan's TV show, Discover West Orange. We hope that you'll learn something more about Main Street and come back and enjoy some of the great things we have to offer downtown.
Since we visited some sites on Main Street and are talking about Main Street today, it's very important to understand some historic changes that have taken place with the Main Street name. Main Street is one of the oldest and original routes through the Oranges. It actually begins in Newark as Orange Street. When it crosses over into East Orange, it picks up the name of Main Street. That name continues across into Orange as it retains the name. However, originally when it entered West Orange, it was only Main Street for a very short distance, basically from the Orange border to the bottom of Northfield Avenue. There it picked up the name of Valley Road and continued up to Tory Corner. So the name actually changed in West Orange at the bottom of Northfield Avenue. As Valley Road continued up to Washington Street, that's where the name stopped. From that point forward, it became Eagle Rock Avenue, or as seen on older maps, Eagle Rock Road. It wasn't until about 1929 when Valley Road was removed and the name was changed to Main Street, making a continuous flow of the name from East Orange, through West Orange, all the way up to the current day intersection of Eagle Rock Avenue and Harrison Avenue. It might be worth noting that the original name of Washington Street was the Swinefield Road. This was so named for the Newark farmers who drove their swine up this path to pasture in the Orange Mountains in the area around Eagle Rock. If we look on an old postcard here, it says Valley Road near Tory Corner, and this could be very confusing to someone who's not aware that a name change take place. You can see the Washington Street School in the background, yet this is a recognizable Main Street location today. So it's important to realize that this was Valley Road and there is not a mistake on the postcard. Another example is this postcard that shows Eagle Rock Avenue, West Orange. But this is clearly Main Street at the location of Main Street and Ridgehurst Road. These three houses are no longer standing, and this is the current day location by Dangler's Funeral Home. Another historical dilemma in West Orange is the Welcome to West Orange sign. Now, all the roads leading to West Orange have this beautiful and handsome sign greeting them. However, the year 1862 needs a little explanation. In 1807, Orange first separated from Newark, and in 1861, this is essentially what Orange looked like. However, this article from the Weekly Review in 1934 gives a little insight as to exactly what happened in Orange to cause a controversy. It was at this location here, this is the Metcalf building, and this is located very close to the intersection of Main Street and Scotland Road in Orange. During the 1860s, there was a hump in the road here that made it a little bit difficult for a horse and wagon to travel over. The town fathers of Orange decided to remove that hump in the road and charge tax to the farmers who lived on the upper part of Orange Mountain. The farmers were unhappy with this, and said that they shouldn't have to pay for what's being done down in the city of Orange. They explained that it also benefited the farmers when they traveled past this location. The farmers countered with the argument that city folks could now come up the hill much more easy and pick the flowers. This controversy eventually ended in a section of Orange being taken away in 1862 to form the township of Fairmount. The boundary line between Orange and Fairmount was, roughly speaking, today's Prospect Avenue, once known as Perry Lane. In 1863, another section of Orange was taken away and added or combined with the existing town of Fairmount to form today's West Orange. Coincidentally, in 1863, also a section of Orange was taken away to form East Orange. So at that time, Orange seen itself diminish by having two parcels of land taken to form a town to the west and a town to the east. In 1937, the 75th anniversary of West Orange was celebrated based on the 1862 date. This was a book that was published at that time to commemorate the 75th anniversary. In 1962, the 100th anniversary of West Orange was celebrated. It was a week-long celebration that also was based on the 1862 date, and this book was published at the time. 2 years ago, in 2012, West Orange celebrated its 150th anniversary, and this is a book that I helped write, which commemorates the 150th anniversary. Again, all based on the 1862 date. This article in the West Orange Chronicle in 1962 called into question, are we celebrating our 100th anniversary or our 99th anniversary? Basically talking about the same issues I raised with the town of Fairmount being found in 1862. This creates a dilemma for the West Orange Welcome to West Orange sign, since you can't have a lengthy explanation on there. Either the 1862 date is shown, established in 1862, but it's not accurate because West Orange clearly did not exist in 1862. However, the year represents a portion of the town that originally became West Orange. If it said established 1863, it would completely disregard the portion of Fairmount that is today's West Orange. If there was room for a lengthy explanation on the town sign, I suppose it would read like this: Welcome to West Orange. First part established in 1862 as Fairmount Township, then with further expansion becoming known as West Orange in 1863. All things considered, I guess 1862 is the best date to keep on the sign. It's just important to understand how West Orange was founded and view it in its historic context. The Black Maria is this oddly shaped black building near the entrance of the Thomas Edison National Historic Park in West Orange, and it is far from glamorous and often misunderstood. But it stands as a tribute to the Edison genius and the film industry of today that he helped create. When Thomas Edison first arrived in West Orange in 1887, he practically already was world famous. He was known as the Wizard of Menlo Park for inventing the phonograph in 1877 and perfecting the electric light bulb there in 1879. But this former Main Street complex in West Orange gave birth to the world's first motion picture studio. This small tar paper covered building is the size of a small bungalow and was first built in 1893. This building was specially designed so that the roof could open and it could be pushed on these tracks to keep up with the natural sunlight. The film speed was so slow that only the light from the sun would help produce the film. Let's go inside and take a look. The inside walls of the studio were painted black, helping to eliminate reflections and create contrast needed between the actors in the background. The films produced at the Black Maria were not filmed as we know it today, but specifically for use in Edison's invention, the kinetoscope. This device sat on the floor and required the user to insert a coin and look into it while standing. It was commonly referred to as a peep show. The first kinetoscope parlor opened in New York City on April 14, 1894, and parlors soon increased in popularity and opened around the country. Production of a constant flow of new film subjects was needed at the West Orange studio to help keep the new invention popular. Many vaudeville performers, dancers, and magicians became the first forms of entertainment to be filmed here at the Black Maria. During 1894, over 75 of these motion pictures were made here in West Orange at the Black Maria studio. The original Black Maria studio was constructed in 1893 and torn down sometime around 1903. This current reproduction is a representative and fully functional example of how Edison's Black Maria once looked and worked. The early commercial success, although short-lived, seemed to pass into history almost as quick as it came. But West Orange will forever hold historic and relevant significance as the birthplace of today's worldwide film industry. If anyone would like to contact the show, you can do so online. Here is my email address. It's very simple to remember, Joseph Fagan, my name, at westorangehistory.com. Or if you prefer the old-fashioned way, you can contact me via the Downtown West Orange Alliance at 66 Main Street in West Orange, and of course that's the same address as West Orange Town Hall. As we explore the many hidden treasures of West Orange, I see myself as a wandering nomad adrift on the high plains of history, blazing a dusty trail back in time with no direction certain or destination known, seeking only the adventure of new discovery, searching for elusive facts concealed by fading memories or hiding in plain view, all bearing timeless interest, constantly sifting through a streaming confluence of people, places, and past events for stories buried deep within the treasure chest of time, respectfully disregarding the understood boundaries that divide the past and the present as I listen carefully to the voices of yesterday as they echo past me down the vast corridor of time, recapturing glimpses into stories that may have fallen into the abyss of forgotten places or relegated to the scrap heap of history. For everything old becomes new again to teach, enlighten, and guide us on the road of our own self-discovery as a people, to better understand who we are and from where we came, because every tomorrow includes a little piece of yesterday. Together, we will continue to turn the pages of history as we proudly discover West Orange. For the Downtown West Orange Alliance, I'm Joe Fagan, and I'll see you on Main Street.